The In It Together with Lori Lynn Green talk show is a positive way to start your day. Ready for some encouragement?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped. Let's let the healing begin.
Come be inspired. Hear moving stories. Even laugh out loud.
Can't make heads or tail of what I'm saying.
Just incomprehensible.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
You'll hear real people doing real things to make a real impact.
You are heroes every day.
Hear honest, compassionate, engaging issues you care about.
You see people come together to do good in our community, and the more we come together, the more good we can do.
Listen in and get started on redesigning your life and hear what's positive in Greater Manchester. Here's your happy host, Lori Lynn Green.
Good morning, friends in Greater Manchester and way beyond. Welcome to In It Together. We're so glad that you've tuned in. If you'd like to find us on the web, you can go to inittogether.net, listen live or to previous shows, even link to our Facebook and Twitter there. And if you like and follow us, you'll see we're bringing out the best in people to influence positive change in this community and beyond. Today is Justice for All with State Representative from Merrimack, Josh Moore. He's always here talking about the Founding Fathers in light of today's important issues. Today we'll be talking a little bit about what's going on for new reps up in Concord, the speaker's race, and how the Founding Fathers went through similar things. But first we're going to take a short break. We'll be back right after this. Hi, I'm Lori Lynn Green, Advancement Strategist and owner of AlphaAdvancementStrategies.com. I've been very successful at helping people overcome stressful situations to get immediate results in their personal and professional lives. At Alpha Advancement Strategies, we provide a non-judgmental and supportive environment, empowering clients to focus more on reaching their goals. You can find us on the web at alphaadvancementstrategies.com or call us at 603-860-9260. Alpha Advancement Strategies is where you invest in yourself.
Little Leapers and Knowledge Keepers Childcare and Preschool offers learning experiences that give kids a healthy sense of self and meaningful connections to the world around them. We teach children from a positive perspective so they learn healthy conflict resolution and develop character. Owner Jennifer Lever has over 28 years' experience in child development. She's helped children learn to read as young as 18 months. Join our happy place where we make happy happen, located in Pinardville, bordering Bedford and Manchester. Call today at 603-491-1780.
Hi, I'm Lydia O'Leary, anchor of Samaritan Truth. Join me every Thursday at 9 a.m., where we'll discuss practical ways to love God and love your neighbor. Because miracles happen every day, and you could be one of them. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green.
Hi, I'm Ron Moore, anchor of the Storm Chaser segment, where we'll talk about severe weather in history, science, and today. Join me Fridays at 9 a.m., where you'll learn to be ready for any storm that comes your way. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green.
Welcome back to In It Together. We are here with State Rep from Merrimack, Josh Moore, for Justice for All. Because we believe in justice for all, don't we, Josh?
We do. Oh, I love that song. I don't know what it is, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's called One Truth, One Life.
Ooh, nice. Good ring to it.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's some things going on in Concord now, right? You started going back.
Yep. Good morning, everybody.
Now that you've been elected.
Yep. What's today, Wednesday? Yeah, I'm losing track here already. My week's just going...
Well, it gets busy.
It's like in a blender.
It gets busy once you win.
Yeah, I know. So, just the holiday season, we just have a little something going on up in Concord. It's we're not actually technically starting until January, but we do have what they call orientation for freshman representatives, people who have never been elected before. This is their first term, and they go through an orientation. I think there's about 80 or 85 of them.
And this is
is there about 80? Maybe a little bit less.
This is a couple days, like they go through to learn a lot of things. Right?
Oh yeah. Well,
it's like boot camp.
The last 6 months, really ever since I'd say April, there have been classes and courses offered by various people, current and former legislators and activists, who will sort of train, and by the GOP, by the way, who will train up-and-coming state reps or anybody who's planning on running. And this was back at the since about April. Now they're going through actual orientation. This is for people who are now elected and are definitely, obviously, going to the State House, and they're learning the ropes. They're being taught how to speak at the well.
The parliamentary
process. How to speak at the well. The well is basically your podium where you speak in defense of or against a bill on the House floor. And, so it's a whole bunch of stuff.
Would you say a lot of the people that run for state rep have already probably spent some time up in Concord learning and watching other people for a little bit of a time at least? I mean...
Oh, sure. I'm a prime example of that.
Yeah.
This is, I've just finished out my first term. Technically, I'll finish it out next week when I get sworn in for my second term. But effectively, I have finished it. I am a prime example of that. I have sat back and watched what other reps do. I've learned from some mistakes, not just my own, but others. Right. And I am going in with a new perspective on it. Not a freshman perspective. Not that that's a bad thing at all. It's just new.
You had a learning curve there too, but I think maybe some people automatically assume that someone's like, I just want to make things different, and then they run for state rep and they go in there and they've never been in the State House before. But a lot of them have been involved in various degrees, either supporting another candidate or up there helping, helping the cause of legislation or something like that. So it's not like people just go in fresh off the street not knowing anything. They've probably had some exposure prior.
Oh, sure. And I'm sure, I haven't talked to them, I'm sure there are a handful of them that have not really paid attention, and have just kind of gone in there and said, I didn't even expect to win. I just put my name on the ballot, and here I am.
Geez.
And,
sorry for the people that voted for you.
there may or may not be a few of those that I actually did talk to yesterday.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I won't name any names, but I did meet a couple, and I was like, what? And they said, I'm just going to come in and say no to everything. And I said, well, okay.
Well, I think,
But overall, for the most part, yeah, they a lot of people. I talked to a number of young reps. By the way, there's a lot of Republican young reps who under the age of 40 who won. I know people are like, wait, under 40's young? Yes, yes. Not that over 40's old. I should be careful with that, huh? But they got elected, and now they're in. And I was talking to a bunch of them yesterday. We were kind of hanging out and getting to know each other and learning about one another, talking about ideas for legislation that we want to pass that would advance liberty. And it was really cool. But one of them said they were very overwhelmed. I said, how do you feel about after your first day of orientation? I just want to get a feel for you, and how where you're coming from, because I know how I felt. And they said, be honest with you, my brain is mush. The information was so much, but it also felt, in a sense, so useless to some degree. I was like, oh, wow. I agree.
Well, the truth is, if you're not used to exercising your mind on a regular basis, having to have your be reading all the time, knowing what's going on and all that stuff, I mean, it's definitely a mental job.
Right, exactly. And so this person felt a little overwhelmed, but, it was... This is something I found out yesterday from, by the way, far more than one rep. Not just to me, but to other reps that he said this. He said, some of you, some of the conservatives, I'll say this, we were kind of walking around talking, getting to know some of the newer reps, who it didn't matter where they were coming from.
Yeah, because you have friends on both sides, right? And that's important to do, right? Build relationships. Where just so the audience knows this, I think a lot of people automatically assume that it's a left against a right thing, and that's really not it. I think many of you go in with the right motive, and you want to build relationships across the lines, and you really want to serve the people the best that you can, so that all people are served.
Yeah.
And then there's the agenda people, but we won't get into that.
Right. So they were kind of coming up to us, and they said, we learned so much more from you in 15 minutes than we've learned from the last 4 hours. And they told me that. They told other reps that. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's You know why? And it's because it wasn't a regimented, you sit down in your seat the whole time. We were having fun chatting about experiences.
Oh, you mean it wasn't like the typical school where a lot of people
the
get
orientation is that way. We were actually going through examples of legislation that we had experienced in both committee and on the House floor, joked around about how we'd say some controversial things and get people riled up, and how we turned the floor on certain people and their arguments and this and that. And they were like, that's cool, man. That's what I want to do.
Well,
they don't train you like that in orientation.
They don't. And the other part is what you just said. I hope someone doesn't take it completely out of context that you're there to make trouble. Actually, no, this is a very healthy part of legislation. And when we say argue, we're not talking about screaming. We're talking about sharing the points on your side of what you're trying to accomplish and allowing somebody else to poke holes in that thing so that you can really defend what it is you're trying to do and have a good basis for doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Both sides are at fault, by the way, for riling the other side up.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they were just really happy that they could learn a lot from a very short period of time than rather than sitting in a seat for 3 to 4 hours. Not that orientation is bad. All I'm doing is explaining what I heard firsthand from some of the new reps yesterday. When I went through orientation, didn't seem like that. I think I had a better experience.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess
they probably start off with what the Wi-Fi password is to all the way up to, it's like school orientation somewhat.
Yeah, I'm sure. I wasn't there at the beginning of it yesterday. I kind of came in about 15 minutes in, but yeah, no, it's really interesting. So leading up to that, today we have orientation. I'm going to get there a little late. Not the big deal, though. I don't need it because I'm good. I've already been through it.
And humble, too.
Yeah. Oh, you learn humility a lot when you're on the House floor.
No,
just kidding.
No, you do.
You really do.
Yeah.
When I say some of this stuff, I also talk sort of tongue-in-cheek about it because people may... First of all, it's very serious on the House floor. It's very serious in committee. But people think that it's so serious that you can't have fun.
Right.
And I'm like, no, we have a lot of fun on the House floor. There's people that crack jokes at the well, and the speaker laughs, and the whole whole congregation.
It lights it up because it's a really hard job. It's a hard job.
And you don't get paid for it.
Well, and that's what I think. Anybody who's in any kind of public service, and that's either in government or even in outreach ministries, things like that. We all know that it's not an easy thing because a lot of times you're going uphill without a paddle.
Right.
And so it's a very difficult and can be a trying, tense situation on a day-to-day basis. So it's really good that you get to not just look at somebody as dehumanizing them as just a leftist or a rightist, but now you get to know people as people. And I think that's a good thing because that builds unity, and then you can start to hopefully work together for the people.
Yep.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. No, it's true. So that's what we've been going in doing this past term, and we have a lot of fun doing it. Today is an important day because we have a speakers race coming up, and it's contentious. There are 4 people running. Frank Saporetto from Londonderry, I believe he's served several terms already, I think. But he definitely didn't serve this past term, and I don't know when his last term ended. So he's running for speaker. Go up the line here. I know them all. Carol McGuire. She's been in at least several terms, I believe. Very good person. Liberty woman. She's just fantastic. A background real quick on Carol McGuire. My support is to Lori Sanborn. I think people know that. I've already made that public anyway. But one of my first trainings for the New Hampshire House, when I was when I was running, I got to meet her, and she was running one of the trainings. She was helping train, but she was facilitating the whole thing. And I was so impressed with her timeliness and her professionalism and how she ran it. It was done with seriously pure excellence. And I said, wow. So she would make a very fine Speaker of the House. I really think she would do a very good job. Lori Sanborn, I've seen the same, and I'm impressed with Lori. She was also a very principled leader. And, between the two, it was a pretty hard decision.
Right.
But Lori has fought hard on several of the key issues we needed to unite on in the state, and led a fight, helped lead the fight against things like Medicaid expansion. So she definitely has my support, and she's got her name out there, and she's worked really, really hard.
And it's less about whether you like somebody or not. Sometimes it comes down to what are we trying to accomplish, and what's the best advantage in who I would support to move that along.
Absolutely. And it makes it tough because when you have two people who are, I wouldn't say nearly identical, but two people who are very good leaders and both stand for liberty, right? Liberty, I like how I did that. Then it really comes down to who's got the best chance of winning.
Absolutely. I want to. Sorry about that. I want to let the audience know that if they want to comment on this, they can go to the In It Together Facebook page on today's post with Josh and myself, and you can either write your comments there, and we can talk to you real time, or you can call us at 603-384-3535. We'll be happy to hear from you. Josh is happy to answer questions.
Absolutely.
Hear comments.
Please call in.
You don't even have to agree with us.
No.
Just
I'd
be
actually
civil.
prefer if you disagree. It'd be kind of cool. Make the conversation more interesting.
Yeah, sometimes it's good that way.
No, seriously, don't be embarrassed. If you want to call in, this is a cool show. We like you. We'll hug on you
we're a lot. I think we'd be a lot more gracious than maybe some other forums would be. We like to treat people with dignity and as humans, not as a them and us.
Yep, exactly.
Kind of thing. Okay, so you've said Frank Saparetto?
Nope, Frank Saparetto.
Carol McGuire, and Lori
I don't know why
Sanborn.
I don't know why I'm talking like that this morning.
That's okay.
Yeah,
who was the fourth?
And Lori Sanborn. Let me just hit Lori real quick. That sounded really bad. Let me hit Lori real quick.
Okay.
I'll just touch upon her. She's also been in, oh, shoot. I'm going to get this wrong, aren't I? Like 4 terms?
Let me look it up. She's from Epsom.
Bedford.
Oh, Bedford, right.
Correct. 3 or 4 terms. Lori's excellent, though. She's like I said, she's led the fight against Medicaid expansion, things like that, some big issues. Very business-oriented. She owns the Draft, along with her husband. It's a bar in downtown Concord. So that's really cool. And then you have the fourth candidate, who is current Speaker Sean Jasper. And he has been in much longer than the rest of them probably combined. He is more or less, for lack of a better term, what you would call a career politician.
Now, in the most respectful way possible. I mean, you were sharing earlier in the show how he came about was different. We know right now we've gone through the presidential election, and there was a fair and square. There was someone who conceded, somebody who won. And yet there are other avenues that can be taken to change that whole thing and take the voice from the people. What do you call that?
I call that a coup.
It's a coup. So,
COUP.
Tell me how it applies here.
So, I explained this one time. I'll explain it a little bit more briefly and in more comprehensive terms. In 2014, we, every time there's a re-election of new reps and stuff, you have a caucus, a Democrat caucus and a Republican caucus. That is basically the primary for the speaker. For the individual parties, so it's kind of like we have a primary for an election. We weed out the Republicans we want and we don't want, and Democrats we do and don't want, right? So we have the same thing for the speaker's race. In 2014, Gene Chandler and Bill O'Brien went head to head, and Bill O'Brien won by 4 votes. When he did, Gene Chandler handed his votes basically over to Bill O'Brien and said, okay, I cast 1 vote for you. Bill O'Brien is the Republican nominee for Speaker of the House. Republican nominee. Steve Shurtleff ended up being the Democratic nominee for the Democrats, right, in 2014. Well, on Organization Day, which is the day that the House votes for the Speaker, clerk, and maybe 1 or 2 other positions, I believe. I think like Secretary of State, but I'm pretty sure. I don't quite remember. In any case, we vote for various positions, mainly Speaker of the House, and we also.
And how often is that vote for that? Is it every every?
Oh yeah, it's
election?
every election.
Okay.
Because you get a new. You presumably get a new speaker. You have a new House that votes on.
So that's every 2 years, just
every
like
2 years,
just like representative. Okay.
So on organization day, you vote for the new speaker. Well, that's when you have, like the general election, when you have the Republican nominee and the Democratic nominee speakers go head-to-head, and the entire House gets to vote on who they want.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, almost always, I don't know of any one point where a Republican majority voted for a Democratic minority, or the Democratic majority voted for a Republican minority as speaker. I don't know when that's happened, but we're hoping that doesn't happen. So I can come back though and talk a little bit, touch up on a little bit more of that when we come back.
Yeah,
I guess,
we'll take a short break, and I really want you to tell us what happened. Okay, be right back. Hi, I'm Lori Lynn Green, advancement strategist and owner of AlphaAdvancementStrategies.com. I've been very successful at helping people overcome stressful situations to get immediate results in their personal and professional lives. At Alpha Advancement Strategies, we provide a non-judgmental and supportive environment, empowering clients to focus more on reaching their goals. You can find us on the web at alphaadvancementstrategies.com or call us at 603-860-9260. Alpha Advancement Strategies is where you invest in yourself.
Little Leapers and Knowledge Keepers Childcare and Preschool offers learning experiences that give kids a healthy sense of self and meaningful connections to the world around them. We teach children from a positive perspective so they learn healthy conflict resolution and develop character. Owner Jennifer Lever has over 28 years' experience in child development. She's helped children learn to read as young as 18 months. Join our happy place where we make happy happen, located in Pinardville, bordering Bedford and Manchester. Call today at 603-491-1780.
Hi, I'm Lydia O'Leary, anchor of Samaritan Truth. Join me every Thursday at 9 a.m. where we'll discuss practical ways to love God and love your neighbor. Because miracles happen every day and you could be one of them. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green.
Hi, I'm Jen Lever, anchor of the Recovery Now segments. Join me Tuesdays at 9 a.m. where I offer support to families struggling with addiction. Hear personal stories, learn the signs of addiction, and get help for your loved ones. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green.
Welcome back to In It Together. We are sitting here with State Rep for Merrimack Josh Moore for Justice for All. So we began talking about 2014 election, Speaker of the House votes.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of recap a little bit what I was saying last segment. In 2014, we had Bill O'Brien and Gene Chandler go head-to-head in the Republican caucus. Bill O'Brien came out the nominee, the winner in that by 4 votes. So Gene Chandler threw his support behind him, said, okay, now Bill O'Brien is the Republican nominee for Speaker to go against the Democratic nominee on Organization Day when everybody gets sworn in. So on that day, on Organization Day, we had Shurtleff go against, obviously head-to-head with Bill O'Brien, but you still have to get the 51%, right? You have to get like a certain majority. I forget exactly what it is. But in any case, long story short, without going into complete detail, we went through the first ballot, and Bill O'Brien got a little bit closer to winning and a little bit closer to the number that was needed. And the Democrats realized, oh no, Shurtleff is losing. We can't have this. We'd rather get half what we want than nothing that we want. Kind of like the Republicans would feel, right? Mm-hmm. So Sean Jasper was nominated and jumped into the speaker's race right in the middle of it. I mean, right dag snap, right in the middle of the speaker.
Tell me how he did that.
So if I'm trying to remember exactly, I believe one of the members went down and nominated Sean Jasper. I want to nominate. Yes, that's what happened. He went. I can't remember who it was, but somebody went down and nominated. Said, "I nominate Sean Jasper for Speaker of the House."
Oh,
well,
and that was kind of out of left field, right?
Well, that was totally unexpected because that's what's supposed to happen in caucus.
Yeah.
So he was. If you think of it in national presidential election terms, that's like
tell us how that would look if we were talking about the race right now.
If you're here's how it would look if this were done in the national race. This would be like, say, Ted Cruz, since he was in second place, right, gets nominated by the Republican Party, the voters in the U.S., and he goes head to head with Hillary Clinton. Well, then say Donald Trump I don't know why I'm picking Ted Cruz back. He was my guy, so that's why I'm doing it. No, I fully support Donald Trump. Don't worry. But and then say Donald Trump, after Ted Cruz is effectively the nominee, Donald Trump say, 2 months out from the election, just to put it in relative terms, because he couldn't do that in one day. He couldn't pull support, American support, in one day. But say 2 months out from the election or something, he goes, I'm going to run as third party because I really want this. And people are like, wait, what? You're gonna split votes and everything. What's going on? And then say Trump gets
it. Makes both sides panic, right?
It makes both sides panic and all. Now here's the deal. It's it's not the exact same situation because you're splitting. You'd be splitting votes between two candidates. The Republican Party would be split between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz versus all of them would unite around Hillary on the Democratic side, right? So that's not exactly what would technically happen here, except for the fact that you had, with Sean Jasper jumped in, you did have a faction of the Republican Party jump in with him to support him, along with nearly all the Democrats. So all the Democrats voted for Sean Jasper, and about between 30 and 40 some odd Republicans voted for Sean Jasper. And that's what happened. So he got the nomination that way. He legitimately won the nomination as far as getting a majority of the vote that was needed. The problem was the way in which he did it. He was not duly elected by the Republican caucus.
That's a coup.
That is a coup.
It's kind of like a loophole, or
it's a takeover. I mean, you essentially took over.
It's not really the parliamentary polite way to do it.
He did not factually did not go through the proper parliamentary process of getting the nomination. That being, he didn't go through the caucus.
Well, tell people about the parliamentary process. It's not necessarily a law-binding thing. It is a courtesy or guideline out of respect for one another
that
of
is
how you run.
Effectively exactly what it is.
Right.
It's a guideline of here's how would I like to appropriately nominate our speaker. And that's what the caucus is for. So you don't have things like situations that happen in 2014. It's to avoid things like that.
So it's not rule.
Which is why he legitimately, if it was a rule and there was something against him coming in, he would have been shot down on the House floor.
Right. So we need to let everybody know he didn't do anything illegal or wrong or anything like that.
Correct.
It was just hey, look, it's a strategy, right?
That's why I told, and it's very much public knowledge that I disapprove entirely of the speaker. This current speaker, Jasper. I not approve of his leadership whatsoever because he's done a lot of things that I felt were not right. He's said some things to me that I felt were wrong entirely, and so I've challenged him on that, and he hasn't liked me ever since. I guess, but I've told him before. I said, look, I don't approve of how you went and got your speakership. That aside, I don't begrudge you for it. I challenge you on other things you've done that I think were really wrong. The speakership, the way he got that, pales in comparison to the rest of the stuff he's done. And I'm not going to talk about it on the radio. You can contact me privately if you'd like to know more, or the speaker. And I've attempted to sit down and have a chat with him. One time he did tell me he wanted to meet with me, but then it never happened. We never got.
So you've reached out and you've attempted. And,
right.
This isn't about ill will. It's it's about having, first off, when we talked about earlier, it's about why we're doing things, the motives that we have for running, the motives that we have to be in the best interest of the people, and I think that's where I believe most people are at when they're running or whatever is for that. And then to have somebody come in out of left field and kind of make the rules the way they want to.
You know what I will say?
Yeah.
If any of the other three that are currently running had ever been speaker before or were speaker this term, I assure you none of them would have ever spent money against me in the primary.
Yeah. Josh, I actually received that during the elections. I received something in the mail, or actually it was either me or somebody I know. I remember seeing somebody showed me that he had sent out something. Well, they found out that he had sent out some type of ad for people he was supporting, and it eliminated some key people, including yourself.
Or it eliminated it also in the sense that we were left off the mailer. Just to be clear, I'm in.
So, in other words, it was supposed to be for the Republicans, yet it was deliberately left off the mailer. So, in other words, it's kind of a partial truth as you're trying to inform people and let them know who's running and who's together and everything. To me, and I know this is a hard thing, when you're not forthcoming and you give a partial truth, it's still a lie. And to me, that's not the right way if you're deceiving the people that are voting.
I'll go into a little more clarity on that, just so the people the listeners are clear. This particular ad went out to several districts, not just mine, but went out to several districts and left all. And it said, "Here's your tax fighting team for said town." So in my district, it said, "Merrimack, here's your tax fighting champions." Yeah,
but it excluded some other people.
But this list of candidates, that were on there, excluded the very people who are really tax fighting champions, like myself. Right. What is that now? What does that imply? Well, if the 8 candidates on this particular mail are listed, and I'm left off, that implies that they're the tax fighting champions, and I'm not.
Right.
That's what that implies.
And it wasn't just you; it was some other guys.
It wasn't just me. No, there was 4 other candidates that were left off. 2 of which were. Excuse me, I apologize. 5 candidates that were left off.
This is similar to
2 of which were incumbents.
This is very similar to what we see as far as all the negative campaigning on television and stuff. That where an organization or a group or some specific people can actually pay to send out something, but it's not necessarily the people themselves that are sending it out.
Right. So, and just to clarify a little bit, 2 things. Well, it's actually kind of important. I got more opposition in my own primary, in the Republican primary, than I did in the general. The Democrats in my town were actually very respectful. I told them that. I told their
you were
chair,
friends with some of them.
Yeah, I told their chair, I said, I want to thank you for running a respectful campaign. That was really good. They ran an ad talking about what they're going to do for the people. We ran an ad talking about what we're going to do for the people. Yeah. Like any party should. That was fantastic.
And you didn't have to rip each other apart.
No, not one bit. That was fantastic.
That's refreshing because you don't see a lot of that.
No, you don't.
People are tired
of it. I said, I really appreciate that, respect that about you guys. I didn't get that from my own Speaker of the House and my own party. I was like, that was really disappointing, So there's that, among other different things. There's something else I had in my mind too. I just forgot it. But in any case, that was.
It's no way to build relationship for future. It's important to have relationship and unity in order to serve the people the best. And if we're doing stuff like this, all we're doing is we're building divisions. Anytime you start to build divisions and stuff like that, it doesn't serve the people. It's self-serving, if I'm being honest. It's self-serving. In any circumstance or situation, this would be true. Whether it's in a business, whether it's in an organization, it doesn't matter. It would be true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, just kind of moving forward, that's why I'm not supporting Sean Jasper for Speaker. Again, I suppose I could take some of this stuff personal. I really don't. I take it more in the fact that I don't want others being treated the same way. I want a fair and respectful process, parliamentary process, and based on the couple things that he's done just publicly like that, minus the things that we've seen, or aside from the things that we've seen on the House floor that the public doesn't really get to see. It's really concerning. It's very concerning, and I can't stand by it.
Right. So
that's kind of where we're going with it today. We just we hope for the best and kind of push forward and stand for what we believe in. But you know what? And this is a good segue. Founding Fathers went through the same stuff. This is nothing new. Unlike some of the issues that we're seeing today, which some of them are fairly new to some degree, this sort of thing is not new. In fact, this sort of thing is not new, wasn't even new to the founders. This was back. I mean, we're talking thousands of years. This is part of the discourse in government. Sadly, there are some unethical things done in the process,
right?
And that has always been the case. But this is, I wouldn't necessarily consider this unethical. I would simply consider this not part of the process, I would, completely disenfranchising yourself from the process and from the people who would be supporting you or might. Not the case anymore.
Yeah, I wanted to move a little ahead about who you are supporting, Lori Sanborn.
Okay, sure.
Okay, she's from Bedford, and she's served numerous leadership roles, including Assistant Deputy Majority Leader, Founder, and Chairman of the House Business Caucus, Republican Policy Leader, and Vice Chairman of Finance Division 2. She's also served on the Ways and Means, Finance, Commerce, and Rules Committees. She's also a business owner, worked in executive roles in a number of large and small New Hampshire companies, and served on nonprofit boards. These are quotes from the union leader. Trying to find out what the date is on
Lori.
this. August 5th. Just kind of sharing what she is. Anyway, so she is from Bedford, and so you believe she has the experience and, more importantly, the character, because this article also starts with a quote from her that says, I believe it's time for the new Republican leadership and time to rebuild and reestablish the Republican Party and its core values in New Hampshire. She also said the House has been managed with a very small number of people making decisions without input in a top-down style and inner-city mentality. She said, we can fix this and plan to do just that. So what do you think about her comments?
I think she's right on top of it. I mean, she nailed it. What she's talking about, Lori's running for speaker, so she has to kind of
tone it down.
Yeah, yeah. She's not. She's gonna let her supporters go out and say the nasty stuff, if you will.
Be positive.
Well, I shouldn't say nasty.
Just expose things.
Expose the things that really should be exposed.
Sure.
She's going to stay positive, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
What she's really saying is Sean Jasper has been a tyrant this entire stinking term, and I will be honest about that. I'll tell you that right on the radio. I mean, it's
a very bold statement,
and I'll explain why he has been.
Uh-huh.
He's kicked people off committees for not following his lead, and his lead was to increase things like the gas tax and Medicaid expansion. And guess what? After she opposed that on Division 2 in finance, the gas tax increase, he kicked her off and pulled somebody on who would support it.
Okay, so
it was very annoying. It was extremely unprofessional and not a part of Republican leadership to. If you're a Republican, you're supposed to stand against tax and fee increases.
Well, especially with like you were saying, it has to do. The core is the platform that you agree upon, and then you follow that. And if you think about it, kicking people off a team that doesn't agree with you isn't really. Sometimes it's healthy to have somebody challenge what you're saying, and then you need to be open to hear.
And the same goes for Representative Tammy Simmons, who unfortunately did not get reelected. She's in Manchester. I forget which ward. Shout out to her. She was an excellent legislator, fantastic person. She was also kicked off. I forget which committee she was on right off the bat, but if she's listening, maybe she calls in. Maybe you call in, Tammy.
603-384-3535.
There you go. But it's just been a slew of things. Mm-hmm. Max Abramson is another representative who was never given a committee assignment, and so it's been a really contentious term, and we have not approved of the way Jasper's done things. By the way, to just go back a little bit, he was also the deciding vote on Medicaid expansion. There was a tie on the work requirement, an amendment that would require you to be looking for a job and get a job so you can get off Medicaid expansion welfare, right? Jasper didn't like that. So when we had the only tie vote out of the entire term, and the Speaker of the House has to break the tie. So he took the opposing side of this amendment and voted against the work requirement to bring in and support Medicaid expansion. Mm-hmm. Wrong.
Some people would think that there are some good points to that, and I bet you would even agree to that. But then overall, you have to look at everything in the big picture, so it makes it difficult. I mean, every decision's a difficult decision when you have people's lives that you're thinking about.
Talking about Medicaid expansion,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. We could go further into that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll take a short break. We'll come back and, you've explained some of Jasper's leadership style. I'd also like to know what type of style of leadership do you think would be a better style and why? Yeah. Okay. So we'll come back, talk a little bit more about that. Hi, I'm Lori Lynn Green, advancement strategist and owner of AlphaAdvancementStrategies.com. I've been very successful at helping people overcome stressful situations to get immediate results in their personal and professional lives. At Alpha Advancement Strategies, we provide a non-judgmental and supportive environment, empowering clients to focus more on reaching their goals. You can find us on the web at alphaadvancementstrategies.com or call us at 603-860-9260. Alpha Advancement Strategies is where you invest in yourself.
Are you looking to get fit and you've tried going to the gym or started an exercise plan but somehow can't get the results you want? PGM Fitness offers personal training for individuals and small groups. I start you off right so you're mentally and emotionally prepared to get physically fit. At PGM Fitness, I'll help you develop a plan that works with your budget and schedule. I'll even come to you. Find me on the web at pgmfitness.com or call me at 603-660-3004. PGM Fitness, your personal trainer to get personally fit.
Hi, I'm Ron Moore, anchor of the Storm Chaser segment, where we'll talk about severe weather in history, science, and today. Join me Fridays at 9 a.m. where you'll learn to be ready for any storm that comes your way. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green.
Hi, I'm Lydia O'Leary, anchor of Samaritan Truth. Join me every Thursday at 9 a.m. where we'll discuss practical ways to love God and love your neighbor. Because miracles happen every day and you could be one of them. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green.
Welcome back to In It Together. We are still here with Josh Moore for Justice for All this morning.
We are still here.
He is still the state rep for Merrimack, newly elected to his second term here in New Hampshire.
What was that? What, did you hear that?
Unanimously, too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No coup, nothing.
None, no. I just legitimately, I talked to my voters and I said, "Whoa, here I am."
He's too legit to quit. So we were actually talking before we ended up. We were talking about Medicaid expansion. Of course, I said something positive. I was saying, okay, so there are some people who say that there's some positive things about Medicaid expansion, and I think all politics aside, I think probably yes. But on the other hand, there's still the underlying big picture of how this is accomplished. Correct?
That's exactly right. So Lori and I were talking sort of a little bit during break. I'll say this: there's nothing good about Medicaid expansion. In theory, there's good intent behind it, and the intent is to help support and provide for sick people. You know, people who are on welfare, right? Essentially, people who are hurt, who have like a mental disorder or are sick, need help, blah blah blah, whatever it may be. And actually, Laura, you said on break very accurately, Medicaid expansion is really Obamacare statewide.
So is this the Affordable Care Act?
Well, it's not affordable.
Well, I know that for sure.
But it is supposed to be a care act. And it depends on who you're caring about, the sick people or the taxpayers. So which one is it? Fundamentally, I do not believe the government has any responsibility whatsoever in helping poor or sick people at all.
Not that you're against poor or sick people, and neither am I.
And you know what's funny is that's really sad that we have to make that clear. I know you have to make that clear, but it's really sad that we have to make that clear because it shouldn't be assumed that if you don't want the government taking care of them, then no one's going to. Someone will, because there's people out there who have generous, golden hearts who are willing to sponsor charities to get people off the streets and help people who may not be able to afford a medical bill.
Well, there were programs before.
There were. But government loves for people to be dependent on it because then it can siphon off the taxpayer and then it can be a revolving cycle of power and money.
Yeah,
so not to get too deep into that, but I want to go back to the Medicare thing, Medicaid, expansion of Medicaid.
Right. So I just kind of want to look at it as, okay, optimistically. I mean, we know that, you know, you and I, Josh, as human beings would like nothing more than be able to help people who are sick and need care.
Sure. Absolutely.
That's not even a question. I mean, absolutely. And within my power, And that's where this is where it's a really big thing. Within our ability, we can do it.
Yep.
But when it goes beyond our ability, then what happens is it ends up getting us in a situation now I can't take care of my own health care.
That's exactly right.
And this is exactly what's happened to me.
Right. Yeah. You see, you're a living proof of this.
I am living proof of it. First time in my entire life.
Man. And that's what I'm saying is bad. So the Medicaid expansion is really a horrific thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's horrific and that we don't want to take care of poor people.
Right.
We do. We just don't want the government doing it.
Well, I think the show itself represents, week long. You listen to my show all week long. You know that's a very big interest of ours here. To help the community and all the organizations who are not part of the government who are doing a great job. I want to support them.
Okay. So I'll go into a little bit of an explanation real quick as to why there's concern on Medicaid expansion. Many are afraid that it's going to lead to a broad-based income tax. Why are they concerned that it's going to lead to a broad-based income tax? Because who's going to foot the bill? Well, the argument was on the House floor and in committee, the hospitals are going to pick up the bill. No, they're not going to pick up the bill.
They never will.
Here's the deal. I'm going to hit people with something that's very truthful, and it's going to be a hard pill to swallow, and I'm going to explain it very well, as well as possible at least. Hospitals are a great thing. Hospitals take care of hurt and sick people and dying people. They're a fantastic thing. Hospitals also are a business.
That's exactly right.
It is not a nonprofit organization that's in it to just help people.
You know how many
hospitals
doctors
help people and make money helping people.
Do you know how many doctors and medical people who have gone to school for this have literally walked away from this type of a career because of the pressure, the constant pressure from government and other things? It's like they're putting them out of business.
So why do I say that they're a business? Because they are.
They are.
And because they're a business and not a charity, they're not just going to voluntarily say, "Oh, we're willing to give up millions of dollars and tens of billions of dollars."
That's not to say there aren't.
It's not to say
there aren't. Like CMC, for instance, is it's a Catholic hospital charity, and I love that a lot of. And again, this is where you and I go back to. The faith-based ones really do take care of people, right? Mm-hmm. They help people, but they have huge sponsors. They have huge donors that are for the sole purpose of that.
Right. So what's going to happen if the hospitals don't foot the bill? In the end, they say, we decided this isn't going to happen. We need to make our money. We need to keep our money. Well, then the state's going to go, now we're missing money. We got to get it from somewhere. We thought we were going to get it with the hospitals. Let's do what we always do. Let's raise taxes. But whoa, we can't just raise them arbitrarily here and there by a small smidgen. We're missing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. We need to raise a lot of money. So there you go with a state income tax that they would likely implement if they had the chance.
Okay, Josh. So come with me down Fantasy Island. Okay, in a perfect liberty world where we as Americans, as a state, become a free state, would do this. How would we do this better? I mean, I believe there's so many people like me and yourself that I know in the community that we support that are doing great things. I mean, even 1269 Cafe started having, I think they are partnering with CMC, and they have medical care going down there, clinics and stuff like that. What I'm saying is when you begin to burden the middle class with the expense of other people, you begin to take away their ability to give to these other reputable organizations that aren't government that can do just as good a job without having to have all that stuff.
Right.
So, and also before we were talking about, you mentioned the hospitals will pick up the bill, or that's the thought people
supposedly
think.
That was their argument.
Similar. Now, you and I know I'm for free enterprise, and I know we're always talking about making, they call it pay their fair share, and I think broad-based tax might be a good idea. I don't know, right?
Income tax broad-based? No.
Well,
no, I never want that.
Well, let's just say I'm not saying I'm for or against it because
Right.
I haven't done my any research on it, but I'm just trying to throw out an example here as far as you have someone who's actually taking the greatest risks, investing all their money, their life, everything, livelihood into creating something that creates a lifestyle, not just for them, but for other people in their community. And then that stimulates the economy. That's
Correct.
the way we look at it. Now we think that every time we begin to go in and tax them, like a hospital, for instance, we begin to put the burden on them, tax them more, whatever the case may be. What ends up happening is their service, whatever they're providing, diminishes in value. They're not able to do it as effectively, and never ever. And let me just put this in quotations: never ever will they take that cost on themselves. They will always pass it on the consumer.
Well, that's right.
Always.
Well, that's right.
So that's just like being taxed.
Yes, it is.
So why would you say, why would even the thought that they have more money, so we can burden them more? To think, of course they have more money. They're smart, and they're smart enough to know that they can keep it, and they'll have to do whatever they're going to do it.
Right.
Does it make it right or wrong? I'm not saying that.
Right. No, I know what you mean.
But
what
a
you're
lot of
saying.
these places are also people who are the biggest donators and contributors to organizations, nonprofit organizations and whatnot.
Yeah.
So to say that they don't care about people because they're not going to pay their fair share of taxes is ridiculous.
It really is.
Because, again, it frees them up to give where they want. And biblically, that's where it says you give according to what you have decided in your heart, not what somebody is extorting from you.
Hence a voluntary contribution and not a forceful taking of your money.
Right, exactly.
In a tax or fee. A minute ago, though, you were going to ask a question, and you said in a perfect world, and you kind of
in a perfect world.
So what was your...
How would you set this up?
So in a perfect world, there wouldn't be any sick people.
Well, other than that,
I just wanted to say
well,
that.
we know. Well, it's true. The answer, you and I both know that the answer to healing really does come
in a world where just government and the way things are set up and supposed to run, and if that were set up perfectly. If that is the premise, what I would say is that people donate their money, and hospitals run as they do. They bring in sick people. You pay a hospital bill. And I'm not even going to get in the weeds of how expensive the hospital bill is. That's a whole other conversation. But the hospital bill, you pay that. You go in and whatever it may be. And you give the hospital money, and in return, they give you a service by giving you medication or doing surgery or whatnot and helping you get back to health and recovery. That's the way it should be. And what can happen is if you have the money, you have health insurance, you need to go to the hospital or whatnot. Now, if there's somebody on the street, say today, you got somebody that's unfortunately and sadly going through an overdose with heroin, right? Let's say in Manchester, and you want to get this person help. In a perfect world where government's set up right, you'd have a charity that comes in and helps that person. And there are charities out there that are willing to do that, not the government. Because the charities get to pick and choose. And the charities have a good heart. They're going to go out there and pull anybody in that's hurting, no matter their background. But it's not the government's responsibility to go out there, because the government... these people then become dependent on the government, and what happens? How do you keep funding that dependency? You take money from the taxpayer. The taxpayer never, ever, ever, ever wins, and it never will.
Let's bring this discussion to another place. I'm thinking right now.
Was that offensive to everybody?
No, not at all. No. Actually,
I'm just trying to explain it and let people know
Sure,
what's
no,
going
that's
on.
great. I just want to expand a little bit on just the thought pattern of the difference between the free market, which I think is very healthy, competition, allowing people to go across state lines to get insurance, all kinds of different things like this. It brings prices down and care up, right? So that's one thing. We've seen it. It's proven. You can't deny that.
You can't dispute it, no.
So the other part is when we look at a healthcare system that a government could run, we have a great example of the VA hospitals that have been around for many, many years. And you see in the news on a pretty regular basis, recently, just this past August, there was a man committed suicide after going to a VA hospital for treatment. An emergency room was turned away. There are people recently, I heard, were turned away because they didn't have money. These people aren't being taken care of. This is a disgrace. This is a disgrace.
I'm lost of words, honestly, because I don't know how to respond to that without fuming.
Well, all I can tell you is if here's what you can tell. To me, you can tell if something's going to work. First off, you follow somebody. You follow. Let's take this out of this arena. Let's just look in any arena, like business or whatever. Somebody who's got integrity and character and does things for the right motives and for the right reasons, in a genuine way to serve people and bring value to lives. Okay, an entrepreneur or whatever. They have the right reasons for doing what they're doing, and they are able to make the greatest impact. There's no question about it. Whether they can make enough to live, and yet they can still give, and it works out great. But when you start to burden them in a greater measure, when we look at this, I'm kind of getting three things going on in my head right now. But when we look at the situation with the VA hospitals, and I know personally people I've gone to school with who have to wait years to get in to see a doctor. By then, the cancer that could have been detected is too late. By then, everything's too late.
Yeah, it is.
They suffer greatly from mental illnesses and all kinds of stuff.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
And they don't get the treatments and they don't get the help because it's just not available.
Yes,
through that process.
No, I want to touch up real quick on this point. I'm not well informed with the VA or anything like that, but I obviously am very aware of what's going on. Let me say this. It's very disgusting, disgraceful, and dishonorable in every which way that we will not take care of our own veterans who are fighting dearly for our freedom.
Let's even remove the word veteran and VA here for a minute. We're talking about elderly. We're talking about families.
Right. Well, you had specifically mentioned the VA.
I know, and I want to, but again, sometimes the mindset is, again, left, right, or, just veterans. No, this isn't just about veterans. This is just an example, right? So I'm just giving an example of a government-run program that has failed. Yes. Miserably.
Yeah, Obamacare. Thank you very much, Obama. That man, I tell you what. Let's stay nice, Josh. Stay nice.
Well, I don't want to attack a person, although
you don't have to.
You can do it. I'm just not.
It's frustrating because we have seen for 8 years this failure, not just the policies from this president and from the administration as a whole. It really is disgraceful because we're not taking care of anybody who deserves it. Namely, the only people really.
It's a big word there. Deserves it.
I say deserves is really is entitled in a sense. Not entitled. Has earned it. Are the veterans. No one else. The veterans.
Right.
I serve my constituents, but I haven't gone off and fought in war. So I'm not entitled, and I don't deserve free health care or anything. The veterans. That's why when you touched up on it, specifically them, families haven't even necessarily earned or deserve health care. They're families, but veterans do. They do. They fought for this country.
Unfortunately, we're out of time, and it's a good thing because I didn't want to go on to talk about the hypocrisy and all this stuff about the mandates yet those serving don't have to be part of it. So I think we're gonna end right there, Josh. We'll come back for a new fight next week. Sure. Thanks for listening today. We'll be back, and I'll tell you what's coming up tomorrow. Hi, I'm Lori Lynn Green, Advancement Strategist and owner of AlphaAdvancementStrategies.com. I've been very successful at helping people overcome stressful situations to get immediate results in their personal and professional lives. At Alpha Advancement Strategies, we provide a non-judgmental and supportive environment, empowering clients to focus more on reaching their goals. You can find us on the web at alphaadvancementstrategies.com or call us at 603-860-9260. Alpha Advancement Strategies is where you invest in yourself.
Little Leapers and Knowledge Keepers Childcare and Preschool offers learning experiences that give kids a healthy sense of self and meaningful connections to the world around them. We teach children from a positive perspective so they learn healthy conflict resolution and develop character. Owner Jennifer Lever has over 28 years' experience in child development. She's helped children learn to read as young as 18 months. Join our happy place where we make happy happen. Located in Pinardville, bordering Bedford and Manchester. Call today at 603-491-1780.
Hey, I'm Josh Moore, State Representative and anchor of the Justice for All segment. Join me Wednesdays at 9 a.m., where we take a look at the history of America's founding fathers in light of today's important issues. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green.
Hi, I'm Ron Moore, anchor of the Storm Chaser segment, where we'll talk about severe weather in history, science, and today. Join me Fridays at 9 a.m., where you'll learn to be ready for any storm that comes your way. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green.
Well, that concludes today's brawl with Josh Moore and myself. We'll be back tomorrow. If you want to join us for Samaritan Truth with Lydia O'Leary, that will be more refreshing as far as reaching out to people. Let's see, always loving God, loving people, impacting the community around the globe. Have a blessed day. Remember, we're in it together.